Let's begin. Welcome, everybody, to the How to Let Go of a Narcissist podcast, where we explore people's healing journeys and the tools or strategies that they used that help them survive narcissistic abuse and reclaim their power. Today, I'm honored to welcome Twinkie. She's a wonderful soul who's been through a lot in her life, and she's going to share her story with us and some insights that might help you on your path. So welcome, Twinkie. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Great. Can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to this point in your healing journey?
Yes, sir. I'm a 64-year-old disabled African-American female who, due to bad childhood trauma and poor relationships, ended up in an 8-year marriage with a person with MPD, and then in a 32-year relationship with someone that went through over 20 years of incarceration that I had a child with that was severely NPD. And once I started understanding it, I realized that both of my relationships were with men with NPD. And I think that for the most part, I was so unaware of that this personality disorder existed and unaware of how my traumas and my issues compromise my ability to make healthy choices in choosing healthy relationships.
Wow. So in our earlier conversations, you noted that you are sensitive, intuitive, empathetic, a people pleaser, and that you absorb other people's emotions.
Yes, sir.
Because you're a highly sensitive person.
Yes, sir.
Those personality traits play into the experiences that you've had with these NPD personalities.
I think that for my understanding is that those characteristics are things that are targeted by people with NPD. And I was raised by my great grandparents and my grandparents that were born in the late 1800s. And they didn't know anything about that. And I was taught to treat people the way I wanted to be treated. Not looking that people had different mental health issues, not looking at the fact that there were evil people in the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I didn't know the difference in healthy relationships, I perceived it to be normal.
So are you saying that in your childhood, you had experiences that made the behavior of your men seem safe to you?
Yes, sir. And I believe I was born in that type of dysfunction, and that I believe my father had those traits. I believe that my mom had those traits because they weren't able to provide a normal functioning household. They couldn't do that.
Got it. Interesting. So as you kind of look back, was there a specific moment or realization that you had that made you decide, I got to get out of this relationship that I'm talking about your most recent relationship? How did you know it's time to go?
Well, with that relationship, I came to realize that his actions did not match his words. And I kept, and it's very unfortunate, but I waited on him for 20 years when he was incarcerated.
Yeah.
And this same man is the man that attempted to shoot me.
Oh, my. Is he still incarcerated?
He passed away 90 days ago.
90 days ago. I can see you're a little emotional. Cross your arms over your chest with me. Just start tapping. I'm going to just have you breathe through this a little bit to get your composure back. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, gasp and hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Relax, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Gasp and hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Gasp and hold, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. And relax, 2, 3, 4. Shake that off a little bit. Okay. How are you feeling?
I'm coming. I'm getting it together.
Getting it together. Such a hard thing. 90 days having lost this man in your life. That's painful.
It's unfortunate, Marv, that, to be honest with you, that was the best relationship I ever had.
It was the best relationship ever
And that's
had.
very sad to say.
Yeah. Wow. So what was the specific event? I mean, how did you come to saying this man is treating me badly? I need to get out of this. Or did you ever reach that point?
I don't think I got to that point. I think what he did is he had someone contact me as if they were a caregiver. And they started calling me on a regular basis. And I think that I put 2 and 2 together and realized this was the new supply. And with the new supply, she was finding issues and was calling me to see how I dealt with him. And I eventually put it together.
Yeah. And were you able to share your insights and help that person?
Yeah, I did, but she didn't believe me. She was so caught up into, he kept saying, I got to process this and I got to do this. And I'm just saying, she didn't take anything that I said for face value. And then she called me and she said he was found deceased. And she had stopped speaking to him 6 months before he passed away.
Well, that's a hard way to do it. Well, that's the power of the trauma bond. It keeps us attached even when we know we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Very
And my son looks just like him. So I'm constantly reminded.
That's a constant trigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your healing basically started 90 days ago, is what you're telling me.
That's correct.
Okay. And as you kind of look at what's happened in the last 90 days and the ups and the downs, what's been the most helpful? What's made a difference for you?
I think being able to see self-help with visuals on Facebook. I haven't had a chance to purchase any kind of reading materials and just prayer.
Yeah.
And then I came to understand that a lot of things I did were the same thing that were advised from the self-help visuals.
Nice. And did you have a chance to look at the workbook, the How to Let Go of the Narcissist workbook that I sent you? Have you looked at that yet?
I didn't see it yet.
Okay, well, check your
How many pages is?
It's a little over 100.
Okay.
So it's for comprehensive.
Yes.
So I'll send that to you after our little conversation here and make sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when you look back on the many years of this that you've experienced, Were there red flags? I mean, did you know this was a problem and you just were denying it, or did this not, it just seemed like this was normal?
I don't think it was normal. I think it was like one issue after another. You know, he had behaviors that I was not comfortable with. Um, and for whatever it was worth, he was a chronic cheater. And it's like I would find earrings in my and I had a 5-speed Volvo, and I know he could not drive it. So he was allowing people to drive my vehicle while I was sleeping.
Oh my goodness.
And one of the ladies called me, and she called my house several times. And the last time that she called, um, he ended up shooting the lady in the face.
Wow. And you stayed with him.
Well, he was incarcerated shortly after that. And by that time, I had been pregnant 3 times for him.
Oh my goodness. And what kept you in the game with him?
Because I had nothing to compare it to.
Right.
All I knew was that he provided for me, and I didn't like what he was doing, and I was constantly praying and asking God to make me strong enough where I could be independent again.
So prayer is and has been a major help and resource for you.
That's correct.
And
then after he was taken into custody, within 24 hours, he suffered a massive stroke that left him with brain damage and he was paralyzed.
oh my goodness.
Well, I didn't want to turn my back on him.
Well, you are a giant-hearted woman. It's really one of the characteristics of being highly sensitive is you've got this really big, giant, open heart, which you've blessed many people's lives with that.
Yes.
Well, if you could look back over your life, going back as far as you want, and give yourself one piece of advice from your present day person that knows everything you've been through, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
The first advice I would give is don't let fear and anxiety allow you to make bad choices and then sit in those choices. The
What?
other one would be to choose yourself. You got to learn to choose yourself.
So elaborate on that a little bit.
Okay, when I hate to go back there, but I'm not a liar. I was molested at the age of 5, and I lived in a constant fear. And that fear made me live a life of being afraid to be alone. And now I love being alone. I get to love me.
You
Everything
overcame
I
that
needed,
fear.
I poured on other people. Everything I needed, I gave to others.
Wow.
And I had nothing left to give myself.
And that made you kind of vulnerable, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I'm sure we'll have people listening to this that are deeply moved by your story. If you were to leave them with anything and they're struggling with something that's maybe similar to what you've experienced in any way, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to always choose themselves first.
Yeah.
Always know that it doesn't rain every day. The sun will eventually come out.
Wow. That is wisdom from somebody who's been living it the hard way for many years.
Yeah.
Well,
One thing I wanted to share, I think like growing up, I knew that my household wasn't right, but I was too young to articulate it or whatever. And I think that we were made to stay home, to scrub and clean, because my dad was such a tyrant that I embraced education. I ended up with 3 degrees. I became a college professor,
Look at you.
and I had no self-esteem while I was doing some of this stuff. And I kept thinking, I'm just going to keep going to the college until they're going to make a mistake and they're going to give me a degree. And I got 3 of them.
Wow. So what gave you the courage to keep going when you had no self-esteem?
I think that I wanted better. I felt my children deserved better. And also, my ex-husband came and attacked me at school and assaulted me there very badly. And I was afraid to go back to school. And when I got the courage to go back to school, I didn't want to leave because I felt that it was a safe place.
Yeah. Wow. Nice to have a safe place to go.
Yes. Yes.
So lucky for you that you found that in your
So
education.
what I want to leave with the listeners, choose yourself, find you a safe place, and always keep God first.
Brilliant. Well, that is heartfelt. You know, this is a real sacrifice on your part to share such deep experiences and be as vulnerable as you are. This is a
Yeah.
blessing. Thank you for sharing
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Take care now.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.